Did you know that Mattel has canceled hundreds of cars over the last decade and a half? Probably close to 500 cars, and those are just the ones that we know about. They don't just openly come and tell us what they've canceled, so I can only imagine there's probably another 500 that we just never found out about, right? And I think we all do understand, like, it's natural, it happens, it sucks, but I mean, this is a product line and things change over time, and Mattel has canceled, as we know, a lot. We know the popular ones, the Piston Cup haulers, crew chiefs, pitties, those racing tractors from 2019, and we understand, there are a lot of cars Mattel has also uncanceled. The Taco Mint and Fiber Fuel crew chiefs just from the last 2 years here. But there are a ton that fall under the radar, slip through the cracks. Some don't even have names. They're background characters within the background. And that is what we're focusing on today in what we know to be the white SUV cameraman. That is how Mattel referred to him through their internal system. That was reflected in an Amazon listing where we got the original stock image for this guy, and I'll show you on screen there. You'll notice that there are a couple differences. Take a notice of that the camera decal says RTV instead of RSM. We'll talk about that later. And I actually just Googled today one of the Amazon listings, and by one of the, I mean, like not Amazon US. I think this might be a European Amazon website, but Amazon still has a listing for him live. Now it says currently unavailable. It has always been unavailable since 2017 when he was canceled, and probably will remain unavailable for the rest of eternity. And that pains me to say. I would love to see this guy get a release. He's from Cars 1, brings a lot of nostalgia, and just speaks to the fact that there are so many cool cars within the background of not just Cars 1, but all the movies that could be released, and yet we are living in a day and age where Mattel chooses not to release any of that anymore. They are doing expanded universe. They are re-releasing stuff from the last 5 years, and pretty much the last 5 years only. It's not great right now, but that is just the world we live in, and so I am choosing to look to the past to kind of scratch my itch of the hobby. And so, a lot to get into today. This is a canceled car Tuesday within the 12 days of Christmas. Shout out to Cars Forever 4002. Appreciate your suggestions. Appreciate your support as a Docketer. Cars Lover 4002 is a paid member of the channel, and thus he receives exclusive Disney Docket, Mr. Docket, I should say, content, sneak peeks, exclusive stuff, all the good stuff. So you can look into that. Probably we'll share more details in the future, but the membership has been around for a while. Anyways, day 3 of the 12 days of Christmas. Let's get into it. I will start by showing his alleged appearance in Cars 1. Now, by alleged, I mean we don't have an exact match. This is the closest match. The camera says RTV, so it matches the stock image, but the camera is still on the opposite side of his vehicle. Now, there's also the scene toward the beginning of the movie where there is a similar looking SUV, but he has a headset on. Camera's on the right side this time, but I think the model looks a little different, but also kind of appears within the vicinity of Corey Turbowitz. You would think she would have a dedicated cameraman that follows her around wherever, and it's not someone new every time, so you could kind of connect the dots there. Either way, really cool character, elaborate looking camera. Would have loved for this guy to get a release, but Cars 3 came along and kind of took a little bit of a priority and sabotaged the Cars Spring, as they called it, mainline in early 2017. They were planning to release a lot more stuff than they did, only got through a handful of cases, and thus resulted in pretty much the second biggest wave of cancellations, just behind Cars 1 to Cars 2, 2010 into 2011. But with all of that kind of lore behind us here, we can get into the review of him himself. I love his expression. He's squinting to look through the camera lens there, and that just shows some great character. I mean, some of the other cameramen are just kind of looking. I understand, they're not always looking through the camera lens, but I appreciate that the expression on this one reflects that. You got his headlights there, grill. Beautiful unibody. The eyes, the windshield, the mouth, everything is one big metal piece. Nothing is segmented. And yeah, he does have one of the bigger cameras you will find. I mean, he is a big boy, so he could hold this monstrous camera. Now, we have seen large cameras before on a couple others, and I'll get to that. But this is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this has got to be the biggest that we would have ever gotten. You have kind of the additional flash on the top here, which has kind of, yeah, you can see that's a really cool effect that they have in there with the bluish lens. Here it's a little duller, but that is kind of shiny up in this shutter. I think that might be the right word for it. I'm not a big camera guy. Despite being a YouTuber, you think I'd be a bigger camera guy. Really not. RSN Racing Sports Network, obviously the big media company that services the Piston Cup, but that is not the decal it has in the movie. Like I said, it says RTV, so that kind of puts a, yeah, just complicates the plot even further. It thickens the plot, as you would say. It's like, dang, like I could accept the camera being on the wrong side and just kind of move past that, but now the decal is different too, so it's just like, oh man. But there is nowhere else where this guy, you know, even could have possibly appeared in the movie. There's nothing close to looking similar to him beyond the ones I showed you. Now, I would guess that he would have come connected to the camera in the packaging. There were some camera cars released where the camera was separate and then you could attach it. Because, you know, he was going to be a deluxe, this would all just be in the blister together, similar to how Studs McGirdle was released in the year prior, 2016. I think he was in like the first case of deluxe that year, you know, when cars, I think, really peaked in 2016. 2016 was a great year. Don't even get me started. But now Studs is challenging him for the bigger camera. Now, he does have a case to be made. It's certainly longer. It's got a little bit more length to it, but does not have the height. Doesn't have this additional corded flash, or whatever you want to call this, on the top, which I would give the edge to White SUV Cameraman, who, by the way, apparently the fandom refers to him as Nick Whitechrome. I'm not sure what jolly Cars fan pulled that out of their rear, but I will take it. Like, I'm just trying to go for consistency, so when somebody Googles Nick Whitechrome, they get this as well. So I don't want to throw another name in there and complicate matters. So we will roll with Nick Whitechrome, but that is absolutely not the name. This guy was never confirmed a name, unfortunately. But yeah, Studs doesn't have a decal on his camera. He does have the press sticker there with the Piston Cup logo, which is cool. Studs is very forlorn in my opinion as well. So a canceled car that's kind of forlorn, even though canceled cars get a lot, you know, of attention. They're talked about a lot, but this guy, because he probably didn't get a name, and he was a little bit just outside of the, there was another thing that made him a little lesser known. I think I'll touch on that in a moment, but first I want to show you Sarah Wilson's camera here. So this one does have the extra flash on the top and some purple lenses there. That looks cool. RSN decal, slightly different. The oval instead of the rectangle, but it's smaller. Everything is smaller. But yeah, this gal didn't come out until 2021, which was another really good year for Cars because we got some Cars 1 new characters, some reporters actually. Derek Williams, who appears in likely the scene with Nick Whitechrome. Now, I think the reason why he, no, that can't be it. There was the Piston Cup Reporters series in 2017 with like Matty and I think Corey Turbowitz as well. So he would have fit perfectly into that series. So I don't know. R6833 is his license plate. I can't read the text above it. If you guys know what that says, please let me know. I don't quite see it. Can't quite string it together. But yeah, I mean, he has a white SUV, silver wheels, silver roof rack. Really cool looking car with the camera and the expression. But other than that, it's a very basic model. You can see DWB15 is the product code, so that should match the information in like the Amazon listing, I would assume. But no date stamp, as this is technically just a prototype. Not really sure like why they would have switched this from the stock image to RSN over the RTV, which would have been more accurate. Like, I really don't know what Mattel was going for. Again, maybe the image that Disney and Pixar sent him, like the artwork that would have been on the packaging, reflects this more. Who knows? I mean, again, maybe this is actually why he got canceled. Things got too complicated, but I refuse to believe that. Now, there are some other SUV models I wanted to compare him to that are, almost identical. But, for example, here with Marco Axel Bender, he is segmented. So you have the eye plate there, that's plastic. You have the mouth plate here, that is plastic. Whereas Nick Whitechrome, like we talked about, is all one big piece. You also don't have the holes for the camera, but you do have the holes for the light bar. The wheels are very similar, though. Mattel did do a lot of SUVs between 2009 and 2010. Let's check on his license plate here. That one is different, so that is good to see. We all know also in 2009 and 10, Mattel had a tendency, and honestly 11, 12, 13 with Cars 2 stuff, to copy and paste license plates to different characters, which is against the law, Mattel. Now, we also have Richard Clayton Kensington here. I think this is a newer one. When was this guy released? Oh, no, this is an old one. This is from 2010. But this one is a unibody. Huh. Interesting. Marco Axel Bender here. This one. 012. Huh. Not quite sure when Marco was released. Ending in 11. So this would have had to have been a 2011 release. Camera is not cooperating right now. The lighting is horrible. 12th day of 2011. So I'm not really sure when that would have been. When was he released in 2011? Huh. Can't quite think of that right now. But either way, this is Richard Clayton Kensington, the angry looking SUV. He is a unibody, metal eyes, metal bumper. But you do have, the whole issue again with the light bar and the camera. But generally the same model. Now what is interesting is his side view mirrors are part of the main metal body, whereas on Nick Whitechrome here, those are actually plastic pieces. That is a change that they just made for this SUV, because even on Richard, who has the plastic pieces, or not Richard, this is Marco now, they're also a part of the main metal body. So the side view mirrors, that was a change that they had made somewhere down the line. We also have the Octane Gain crew chief here, who is a little different overall because of the windshield. It's a part of the main metal body, but it's got this black outline. The mouth is plated, segmented. But again, you can glean a lot of similarities. They all have the 2-panel roof rack, or 2 slat. What would be the word for this up here? Yeah, like I said, lots of SUVs during this time. Another one that is pretty similar, although again, not quite, is Charlie Cargo. Now this guy is a little smaller, just by a teeny weensy bit. But again, there are similarities. I think we can all agree with that. Now what's interesting about his license plate is that it's like it's been issued from the same county. It's the same design, same text above, 65F83. So similar look to this, R6833. Thought I would point that out. And then we have some SUVs that are less and less similar, like Benny Brake Drum here. Still the 2 slat roof rack. Is that the right word, slat? I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that. I'm really curious because roof racks come up in my daily conversation all the time. Just kidding. No, what the hell. Oh, here we have Swift Alternator, who has a different style roof rack and way smaller of a vehicle. Tiny SUV compared to this Big Bertha Nick. Man, I am just loving the roof racks today. Nelson Blind Spot, who's similar to Benny Brake Drum, and Murphy, who I did not bring out today because these two covered it. Benny Brake Drum and Murphy are pretty much the exact same car. They are literally just different shades of orange. But I didn't mind when Mattel did that back then. I was like, I'm all for new characters. I know they both appear in different parts. This is Clutch Foster, whole nother model. But yeah, I know they appear in different parts in the movie. They are different just because, you know, they're similar shades of orange. I have no problem with Mattel releasing both of those and releasing both of them. Well, actually, they were supposed to both be released in 2010. Benny Breakstrom got canceled and then uncanceled in, I think, 2015. So, yeah, we've indulged in a lot of lore in this video, but that is actually all I have for you guys for this video. Guys, let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Mr. Whitechrome, if you accept that as his name. I understand if you don't because it is not official. But yeah, Corey Turbowitz, Tim McQueen. It's a pretty cool shot here. This is what I always loved. You can start to recreate scenes from the movie. Perfect for stop motions, which I appreciate all the support on that one I posted last week. I did not make that myself. Could tell that not many people watch the full video to get that part, but I appreciate everyone for their kind words regardless, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 4 of the 12 days of Christmas. Bye now.